As an English major in college, I developed a singular passion for the eloquence and power of the English Romantic poet John Keats. But it was his letters more than his poetry that enchanted me. Keats lived only to the age of 25, unable to marry Fanny Brawne, who was the love of his life, weakened by tuberculosis from which he soon died, and tormented that he never considered himself a successful poet. Keats' letters chronicle his consuming anguish. In John Keats's last surviving letter, which was written to his best friend, Charles Brown, Keats concluded, "I can scarcely bid you a goodbye, even in a letter. I always made an awkward bow." These words have stayed with me since I first read them. I suspected there would come this time when they would be more personally germane, a time when I would be taking my leave. Tonight, I will speak this last high holiday sermon as senior rabbi of this congregation. But I am incapable of an awkward bow, and this is not going to be a goodbye, not an occasion for a song of mourning, and not a memoir. Rather, I have chosen to write this sermon as a letter, a love letter from me to each and to all of you. This is from my heart to yours, and it is also about the legacy that we have created together and that it is now yours to carry on. Dear friends, you have made my life a dream. You have supported me for nigh on 23 years. What we have is indefinable and exquisite. We have shared an adventure and a journey. So what is it that I love about you? I love you for your courage. Our relationship was born out of a singularly bold and courageous decision. It was in the spring of 1990 that the search committee of Central Synagogue asked me to come to an interview. Some of you were there. And as the hour grew late prior to my returning to San Mateo, California, I was asked whether there was anything they had not asked me about which they should know. Not confident about what specifically I was being asked, I told them that they should know that when I led services, I wore a kippah, a talit, and no clergy robe. I watched as the members of that committee, somewhat aghast, even ashen, turned to each other until the chair tentatively said what they were all thinking, "Well, Rabbi, our rabbis do not wear a head covering." I surmised that a head covering was what many of us called a kippah or a yarmulke. I knew that my two immediate predecessors who had yearned to wear a kippah on the pulpit had been prohibited to do so, whether it was by stated policy or precedent. So before extending me an offer, the search committee knew that they had to poll the entire Board of Trustees on whether the wearing of a kippah would be a litmus test for the selection of their next senior rabbi. But you see, in those days, it was a pivotal question for this congregation. the Board of Trustees correctly worried that taking a chance on this West Coast rabbi wearing a kippah on the pulpit might cause significant disruption and even a loss of membership, and at that time a further decline in membership was terrifying. I returned to San Mateo the next morning, and a brief message from the chair of the search committee awaited me. "You can wear a head covering, problem solved." You courageously took a chance on me, and none of us could have predicted back then how it would turn out, though from the beginning the message was clearly trumpeted: change was afoot. And because I believe that change is organic in vibrant institutions, I did not wait very long for the next opportunity. It was only 1 month later into our fledgling relationship, during the summer when we were holding services in Beer Chapel, that I was standing on the pulpit with a Torah, and something moved me to take the Torah down into the congregation, and that is how I introduced the Hakafah without any prior consultation with the then extant ritual committee. Well, as you can imagine, the next meeting of the ritual committee, several members were what nicely could be described as agitated about the change. Well, we discussed it and came to the accommodation that we agreed to have the Hakafah as a trial for the next 6 months, and then we would discuss it again. When I raised, as promised, the issue 6 months later, the ritual committee quizzed me on why it was being discussed at all. Because by that time, the congregation had accepted the Hakafah as an occasion for congregational exuberance, a time for them to draw close to the rabbi and the Torah, and a centerpiece of our worship services. The courage from which you and I were born were those tentative beginnings which vigorously define us. Since then, as you can tell, we have reformed our high holiday services, re-examined our Friday night worship, and recreated our Saturday morning liturgy. Every segment of our ritual and worship practice has been transformed. It is not what I discovered here in 1991. As well, we have transformed our administrative systems, our programmatic initiatives, and our congregational expectations. What made our congregation great, and that for which I love you, is that we would not take anything for granted. You permitted and supported the heretical disavowal of time-worn assumptions that were no longer true. You understood when we searched and reinterpreted the original intent of our traditional expressions, allowing them and applying them anew to our own time and to our own personal spiritual longing. You understood our Jewish existence needed to be anchored in strength of character, depth of soul, and the power of relationships. I honor the leadership of this congregation throughout the years for having buttressed us in taking the chances with forceful courage and encouraging us to build beyond the excellent. We passionately believe that this synagogue has a breathtaking opportunity to redefine institutional Judaism with sparks of brilliant creativity and to be a model for other religious institutions. We will continue to be groundbreaking where others fear to tread. We will dream bigger when others cover their eyes. We will be honest about our failures, honest about our faults, and desperate to fulfill the wondrous possibilities of humankind and Jewish meaning. We will never cower before challenge. We will never say it cannot be done. Imagining the unimaginable has become our congregational hallmark. Courage, boldness, and courageous audacity in dreaming larger than ourselves, taking chances on emergent excellence, and grasping for the star beyond our reach is our mission, for that is what it means to be a Jew, and that is what it means to be Central Synagogue. I love you for your courage. And I love you for your decency. This congregation cares for each other, but you see, it also cares for those outside our four walls. The depth of your caring, though apparently so fundamental, is miraculous. You certainly care about this incredible congregation and synagogue of ours. You make it possible that no one will ever be turned away, certainly for financial reasons. And when things are broken, you help us conceive and format new structures out of the chaos. For instance, when it was obvious to us and to most of the Jewish world that supplemental afternoon religious school was dysfunctional, that our children were coming home with exactly the same complaints that we had when we went to religious school at that age, that it was boring and repetitive. You supported the revolutionary concept of full-time religious school educators, which we've now had for nearly a decade. The primary concept was transformative. Teaching Judaism to our children and to their parents needed to be our priority. We wanted teachers who were the brightest and most creative post-college and postgraduate school young people in our community to help us achieve that priority. We wanted teachers who would be role models to our children. We sought educators who were excited about what they taught and passionate about what their students were learning. Yes, at times we suffered with setbacks, but we forged ahead in that program, and we want more. The original funders of that program, some of whom are in the congregation today, imagined that we could eventually transport this full-time educator model to other congregations around the world. We held seminars for educators to raise awareness. We counseled rabbis who were willing to think differently. The ripples flowed outward, tickling the imagination of other synagogues, for they too came to realize that they did not need to remain stuck in the quagmire of ineffective religious education. They too could do it differently and excellently. And here, we believe that what we did for ourselves, however radical it might have appeared, could be a model for those who are searching for alternative synagogue systems. When we became aware that there were synagogues throughout this country with no professional or clergy leadership, we began to visit and care for small congregations in the South, as we did for small groups of young Jews here in New York City. We partnered with struggling, heroic congregations in Barcelona and Minsk and Israel. We supported day school in Mendoza, Argentina, and the first rabbinic seminary to be opened since the Holocaust in Germany. We continue to challenge and try to help our own national Reformed Jewish institutions to become as vital and as imaginative and effective as possible in meeting the needs of our synagogue movement and beyond. We provide a gateway for those who are considering becoming Jewish, and also those who are Jewish but have wandered off and would like to return home. And we continue to support plausible and sometimes difficult programs of outreach to those who have been devastated by massacres, tsunamis, earthquakes, hurricanes. We cannot tolerate staying safe within these walls while there are so many people who are suffering outside these walls. I am especially aware on these holy days that when we rebuilt this sanctuary after that devastating fire in 1998, we formatted this sanctuary for flexibility because we knew that none of us could foretell the future possibilities of worship. We wired and outfitted this building for the use of what was then unimaginable technology, never presaging that we would one day live stream our services to over 20,000 people worldwide during these holy days, from whom we received over 300 notes last week on Rosh Hashanah. Notes such as these from a young woman in Florida. I have been considering converting to Judaism for a long time, and I have tried to find a congregation that I feel at home with. As strange as this might be, after watching a year's worth of services with the Central Synagogue, I feel as though I am part of your family, even though I live in Florida. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. And this from a young parent in Quebec, Canada. I have a 6-month-old baby, and I wanted to attend Rosh Hashanah services, but going with my baby was not an option. So I started looking for an online service that I liked and found yours. I am loving it, and I feel very identified with your congregation. Thanks so much for making your services available to me. Shana Tova. That's why we do what we do. You care about our synagogue, and you care about this congregation in shaping a more just society, a more tolerant community, and a more caring nation. As a congregation, you exemplify the best of human decency for me and the best of Jewish values. And because you care, you know that there is still more to be done. We still have children to welcome who know nothing of the old ways, know nothing of the warmth of Jewish homes or the intergenerational magnetism of sitting with a grandparent in the synagogue. We have college students who are searching for some inkling of what it means to be Jewish in their soul, in their practice, in their life, and presently on their college campus have no place and no person with whom to search. We have young professionals who don't yet comprehend, if at all, that being a Jew can shape the contours of their lives. They don't know how Judaism can support them in their life decisions and give them guidance when they intuitively know they need to speak out about impropriety and values in their workplace. We have Jews who yearn for, but have not yet found, a synagogue home that will make a difference and that will matter to them. There are unfulfilled possibilities for Jewish life, I tell you. So we do not limit our concern to these 4 walls. We cannot. We embrace Jews and others outside these 4 walls, even those who do not yet know of us, yet await us. You are willing to make it all happen. And that's why I love you for your decency. And I love you for your trust. we Jews were born into history to make a difference. We confirm that our purpose in this creation is to make humanity ever better with greater goodness and immutable integrity. And we will manage it all by being a people who believes that dreams become real, that aspirations could be achieved, and that truth can be redefined. Among the principles we endorse is that imprudent communal expectations need to be loudly repudiated. For instance, particularly because we're so few in number, barely 0.2% of this world's population, we reject measurable standards as a marker of decency or success. We will not measure the worth of our nursery school children by their ERB scores or what kindergarten they will get into. We will not measure our high school or college students by their GPAs or SATs or GREs or LSATs or MCATs. We will not measure our graduates by their starting salaries. We will not measure our personal stature by the number of friends we have on Facebook. We will not measure the success of this congregation by the size of our membership. We will not value the worth of our clergy by their national ranking. Success for us is supporting Jeremiah's covenant of the heart and Isaiah's mandate that we become a covenant people, a light to nations, opening eyes of the blind, rescuing prisoners from their confinement. And you have trusted me in my belief that improvisation, that instinct with an ample dose of impetuousness, that experiment with the guts to fail is essential. Together, we have embraced grand ideas, jumping headfirst into the depths of uncertainty, along with an interminable lust for vitality and wonder and fun in Jewish life. This way of being is the heartbeat of this congregation. It keeps us alive. And you have trusted me to give me my headway with ludicrous dreams and the opportunity to take chances. You knew, I believe you knew, that I would cherish your integrity, that I would not wander too far afield without glancing at all of you to make sure that we are still on the journey together, that I would give my days, I would give my life to the well-being of this congregation, to the survival of the Jewish people, and to the immense possibilities of Jewish existence. You trusted me. Confide your stories to me, your heartbreak and your worries, your disappointment, your anger, your concerns and shortcomings, your mistakes and your sorrow and your joys as well. You permitted me into your lives, listened to my words, and believed as I believe that Jews will always do the right thing if they are given a chance. You believed in me even when I struggled. You believed in me when engaged in my own thinking I may not have listened or heard you. You believed in me when I was not available, though you needed me. You advised me when I took on battles which I could have handled more astutely, or when I was intemperate in my convictions and my speech and my behavior. And that's why I love you. I love you for loving me with the kind of love that grants me courage, models of decency, and trust. I began personally, so permit me to conclude personally. After I step aside as senior rabbi of this congregation at the end of June, despite some rumors, Carrie and I are staying in New York City in our apartment, a bit redone for the next stage in our lives. I will eagerly embrace my next position as Rabbi Emeritus of this synagogue in support of our next senior rabbi. For Carrie and me, Central Synagogue will be our congregation, the place we will worship, where we will come to celebrate our joys and, when necessary, commemorate our losses. You know, I love being a rabbi. Before my time is up, I assure you, especially the young people here, that being a rabbi or a cantor is the perfect job for a nice Jewish boy or girl. For me, being your rabbi has been an enduring and sacred honor. But so much of the health and the wonder of congregations and synagogues depends on shared presumptions, shared visions and expectations, along with goodwill and mutual respect, and the fundamental belief that good people can disagree as long as the issue and not the person is the agenda. So it is that you have made my life glorious and lovely. So this is not an awkward bow, not a goodbye. It is simply a story of love, the story of our shared journey, a love story for which I thank God so much and for which I am hugely and humbly grateful. We have been blessed by our time together. May we continue to unfold this blessing, which I believe, I know, will embrace us forever. Amen.
אני בחסדך פתחתי, יגע ליבי בישועתך. ואני בחסדך פתחתי, יגע ליבי בישועתך. I have always trusted in your kindness and found great joy in your love. I have always trusted trusted in your kindness and found great joy in your love. Ashir Ladonai, Ashir Ladonai, Ashir Ladonai, Ki Gamalalai. Ashir Ladonai, Ashir Ladonai, Ashir Ladonai, Ki Gamalalai. A higher love, a higher love. Thank you for bringing me a higher love, a higher love, a higher love. Thank you for bringing me a higher love. Think about it. There must be higher love found in the heart or hidden in the stars above. Without it, life is wasted time. Look inside your heart and I look inside mine. Ashir Ladonai, Ashir Ladonai, Ashir Ladonai, Ashir Ladonai, Ki Gamalalai. You know you want to sing it. Bring me a higher love. Bring me a higher love. Oh, bring me a higher love. It's that higher love I keep dreaming of. ואני בחסדך פתחתי, יגע ליבי בישועתך. I have always trusted in your kindness and found great joy in your love. Ashir Ladonai, Ashir Ladonai, Ashir Ladonai, Ki Gamalalai. Ashir Ladonai, Ashir Ladonai, Ashir Ladonai, Ki Gamalalai.